This episode of Rick and Rick is brought to you by Taskin, the first name in ultra-stylish, premium-quality travel gear like the Taskin Denali 4-wheel carry-on, featuring a sleek, jet black exterior, distinctive matte finish, exceptionally smooth rubberized wheels, and compact, lightweight form factor. Taskin Denali is one of the most stylish and versatile carry-ons anywhere. Save 30% on your next purchase when you use the promo code RNR Take 30. That's RNR Take 30 at TaskinSF.com.
Next up on an all-new Rick and Rick.
World Cup madness has come to marketing, or is it the other way around?
Plus, this summer's box office pre-ticket sales champion, the rough road ahead for U.S. auto brands, and more.
And it all starts right here, right now.
On the one show where everybody's a certified Rick.
And everybody rules the world.
Well, call us a podcast and let's hit play, because you're just in time for an all-new episode of Rick and Rick Rule the World, coming to you from the intersection of marketing, media, tech, and pop culture. I'm Rick Matheson, and I am joined, as always, by my good friend, Rick Wooten. How you doing, Rick?
I'm great. I've been watching the World Cup ads, and I'm ready to declare that America does not fully understand soccer yet, including me. But we understand snacks and celebrity cameos.
Oh, man. I was traveling the week it started, and for whatever reason, if the fact that the U.S. was going to be hosting part of this year's World Cup was on my radar, it had just completely fallen off. And so, of course, every city I was hitting was pandemonium. It was not the time to travel.
Yeah. I'm not that big of a soccer fan. I enjoy soccer. I wouldn't kick soccer out of bed, but it's not one of the sports that I run to. That said, I have loved having the World Cup here this year. I think it's really added some, liveness to the Bay Area. We've had a ton of games here. And the really cool thing is watching all the people from outside of the country travel into the US who had preconceived ideas of what America was like. And then they get here and they're absolutely blown away by one aspect or another. It's more beautiful than they expected, or, going into a restaurant and getting free chips, which just seems bizarre to them. It's just so cool to see all these people traveling to the US for the first time and kind of breaking down those preconceived notions of what being in America looks like.
Yeah, I did see a couple things where, the Europeans were marveling over, the endless refills.
Exactly. The one that was my favorite, I forget the Japanese team was in a certain town, and one of the folks went into a restaurant and they gave him a basket of chips, and for free, obviously, because that's how we do it here in the U.S. And so he's like, oh my God, this is a gift in my country, you can't not eat the gift because that would be an insult. So he devours the basket of chips. And he turns away and they bring him another. And he's like, oh my God, now I've got to eat the second one. And of course, he devours the entire basket of chips. And then a third one comes and he's looking at the person with fear in his face because he's just eaten 2 baskets of chips.
Jeez.
And so he does finish. I think he finishes the third one and he has, I'm sorry to be rude, but I can't have any more.
That's awesome. What else is awesome is this episode, because we're locked and loaded with our top story, which is World Cup advertising. So the 2026 World Cup is officially here, there, and everywhere, hosted by the U.S., Canada, and Mexico with 48 teams and an expected 5 billion viewers tuning in over the course of the matches. And where the eyeballs go, money follows. According to the Wall Street Journal, advertisers are dropping over $10.5 billion globally to get in front of that crowd for as much as $750,000 per 30 seconds of airtime. And that's what we're talking about today, the spots that have scored so far at this year's World Cup. So, Rick, what have been some of the spots that have really stood out for you?
The first one that I really, really liked was the Lay's commercial. I think the title is Jump on America or Bandwagon. And it had, Will Ferrell, it had David Beckham, and it's basically Will Ferrell driving a giant Lay's bandwagon, which is basically a semi-truck with a clear, transparent, back end, driving it across America and picking up people along the way to, basically bring them into this bandwagon, watching the game and cheering it on, just having this amazing experience. There's one where he picks up Marshawn Lynch, and he gives them a, like a thing you wear around your neck, like a lei made of lays, a lei of lays. And it's absolutely hilarious and just ridiculous. And so I thought this was a home run for me. I thought this was fun, wasn't too serious. Of course, they had Will Ferrell in it, but I think from a brand perspective, I think it landed. I think it landed well.
I don't know what I'm more entertained by, the fact that you referred to him as Will Ferrell or that no Pringle Leos were injured in the making of this spot. Do we know if all of these were broadcast? Because this one's a minute long. And some of these spots, there were 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Nike's was like 6 minutes long. And I'm curious if they all ran on TV or if these were just videos put out there into the marketplace.
These were the videos that were put out there, but there were 30 and I think in some of the cases, 15-second versions of these, cut down versions of these. So for sure, I saw the Lay's one on TV, not just online, and it was a short commercial, like a 30-second.
Gotcha. Which agency was behind this?
It was an agency called 72 and Sunny in LA.
They are known for good work.
So the second one that I really liked is the BofA one around fan bands. And I thought this was kind of funny. If you remember back in the day where it was really popular with the women to have a bracelet, and they had those like really expensive charms. Like each charm would be like,
Yeah.
I don't know, $200, $300, $400. Yeah, this kind of reminded me of that, where BofA has fan bands where there's like a bracelet, and on that bracelet is all the different teams and things like that kind of go into it, and it creates this this sense of being in the game and part of the game. And I thought it worked pretty good. Did you get take a look at this one?
Yeah, I have. I'm interested by the approach. I don't know if it is video or stop motion, but they use kind of a stop motion effect building these different bracelets. It's a neat idea.
And the crazy thing, Rick, is this is actually real. Bank of America is giving them out for free. The actual wristband or bracelet, and the charms you can get at venues across all 11 U.S. city hosts. So this is a real thing. Now, it would cost you a crap ton of money to go to every single host city to collect the charms, but it's still a pretty cool thing.
Oh, yeah, very cool. And it sounds like they have already distributed, 700,000 bands somewhere, and that they're even showing up, for resale online.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. And I guess BofA says the overall program includes more than 2 million bracelets and 10 million different beads. Who knew Bank of America could pull off something cool for a World Cup?
Absolutely. And again, I like this because, you can think of collectibles from a lot of companies. I can't really think of any other collectibles from a bank, other than money.
Which, to be fair, must be everybody's favorite kind of collectible. But this is very cool. I believe Octagon is the agency behind this campaign. When we come back from the short break, we'll continue our look at some of the spots that scored during World Cup 2026. So stay tuned.
This episode of Rick and Rick is brought to you by Taskin, the first name in ultra-stylish, premium quality travel gear, like the Taskin Air Duo dual-sided compression packing cubes. One side's 100% air breathable to keep clean clothes fresh and wrinkle-free. The other side's odor and water-resistant to keep dirty laundry sealed up tight. Now you can pack up to 40% more in the same space. Save 30% on your next purchase when you use the promo code R&R Take 30. That's R&R Take 30 at TaskinSF.com.
And welcome back to Rick and Rick Rule the World with Rick Matheson and Rick Wooten as we continue our look at some of the brands and spots that scored during World Cup 2026.
The third one was actually Michelob ULTRA, and their campaign was called the Superior Match, and I thought this one was great. They had a bunch of just amazing soccer players in here. Plus, they had Billy Bob Thornton, and I thought this one was really cool. So here's the scene. It takes place in the hotel lobby, but not a normal hotel lobby, but like a really nice one. And in comes like 6 of these amazing soccer players. Messi's there, Alex Morgan, a whole bunch of them, and they're just show up into the lobby, and in comes a cart with a bunch of Michelob lights in there, and you can see both sets of soccer players are looking at it like they're going to take it, and the bellhop says, "Well, do you guys want to play for them?" And so then this like cool almost Matrix style soccer match happens in the lobby of this really fancy hotel with balls bouncing off the reception desk and, them going through the kitchen and all this crazy stuff. But then they cut off and it's Billy Bob Thornton in his room and he's calling the front desk and he's like, "Hey, I ordered some Michelob Ultras. When are they going to get up here?" And so like as this commercial progresses, he keeps pestering him and eventually he comes down into the lobby to confront everybody and in the most hilarious way. And so anyways, I thought this was fun. From a marketing perspective, obviously associating these folks with your brand is awesome. The beer wasn't just tacked on at the end like a lot of commercials. It was actually integrated into the storytelling, which I thought, was kind of fun. So yeah, I thought this was pretty good, and this was done by BBDO out of New York.
Yeah, they're always good, and I think this spot had my favorite line at one of the cutaways to Billy Bob. He says something like, "I ordered room service a while ago. Does room service not come to the room?" That was my favorite line there, and I think this was a 3-minute spot or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, but there was a shorter version that I've seen. I saw this one on TV as well.
Gotcha. These were all well produced. If I had a criticism, is that they're all very similar. I mean, they all kind of spend a lot of time showing the footballers doing their thing, which, it makes perfect sense, but they all kind of feel the same and the same production values. But one that I liked a lot, it was well produced, but that's not really did it for me. It was just the idea behind it. It was a spot from Apple about the noise reduction capabilities of the AirPods. It had Brazilian footballer Vini Jr. bopping around the city, but instead of hearing his playlist, his music, like you'd expect to hear in a commercial, we hear only the city street, the sort of ambient sound around him, which kind of counterintuitively anyway, totally captures the idea of him cutting out everything else and immersed in his own personal sort of soundscape. So I thought this was a great spot.
Oh, that's amazing. I didn't see this one.
All right. Any other sort of standouts?
Yeah, Rick, one other commercial I liked, didn't quite make my top 3, but I liked it quite a bit, was Adidas. These sports brands, they usually have like the spot on commercials, and Adidas has been big into soccer forever. Their commercial was called Backyard Legends, and it was done by LOLA out of US and produced by Smuggler. And this commercial had like huge star power. It had Timothy Chalamet, it had Messi again, it had Bad Bunny. I mean, literally, there's about 12 different people in here that were soccer players and stars that were included in this. And so it opens up with Chalamet trying to assemble a team to beat the legendary local squad. Like the local team that's been unbeatable forever. So like any normal person organizing a neighborhood pickup game, he recruits the best of the best. He gets, Messi, he gets Bad Bunny, he gets all these amazing people. It's a nice kind of like a throwback feel. It feels like a commercial of yore, not, like a modern one. It's not like, a big stadium, anthem. It isn't like, trying to get overly emotional. It's just like good fun. And so basically it's like Sandlot, if you remember that movie Sandlot.
Yeah.
But compared to, some of the other ones we talked about, it's warmer. And so it sets off with the two teams at the pitch getting ready to play, and then cuts to the branding, which is fantastic. And this is cool because we saw some commercials with Nike that were just a little more spectacular. Adidas played a little bit different. They did their own thing, which I thought was really nice. And it gives it, a bit more of an emotional aspect, but not, like a heavy emotion. It was more like an uplifting kind of thing. And it was just kind of a lot of fun to watch. And honestly, this was one that as I was searching around and looking on the socials, this seemed to be a lot of people's favorite commercials, probably because of the star power. And there were so many footballers in this that the people associated to.
Yeah. I would like to see the 30-second version of this. I think this one's 6 minutes long, and it lost me after about 25 seconds. And then 2, I can see recruiting Messi. I can see recruiting Beckham and several others, but I bet Bad Bunny had to have been the last pick. I hope he can carry his weight. Well, listeners, let us know what you think about our picks for some of the best World Cup advertising. What do we miss? What do we get right? We'd love to hear from you. We'd also love for you to join us on the other side of this break for our next segment, because it's time to play Loaded Questions. It's our multiple choice quiz game to test your knowledge. Recent developments at the intersection of marketing, media, tech, and pop culture. No football required. So stay tuned. Hey, Rick and Rick Nation, don't forget to check out our website at rickandrick.com. It's double the Rick in just one click at rickandrick.com. And welcome back to Rick and Rick Rule the World. Rick Matheson and Rick Wooten. And it's time for Loaded Questions. This is our multiple choice quiz game to test your knowledge of recent developments at the intersection of marketing, media, tech, and pop culture. Rick Wooten, are you ready to play Loaded Questions?
I'm ready. Put me on the bandwagon to drive.
All right, first question. The source Gen Z trusts more than social media for product research when considering a purchase is A, Yo Mama, B, Gen AI search responses, C, online reviews, D, YouTube, E, none of the above, or F, all of the above. For Gen Z, which, if any of these, rank as more trusted than social media as a source of product research when considering purchases?
I'm going to say YouTube.
You are correct, because the answer is A, C, and D. So according to McKinsey's State of the Consumer 2026 report, 60% of Gen Z trusts friends and family, including, one might assume, Yo Mama, roughly 59% trust YouTube, and roughly 55% trust online reviews more than social media. Though to be fair, I mean, YouTube is social media, so I'm not totally sure what they're talking about there. But anyway, only 54% of Gen Z trust social media overall as a source of product research when considering purchases. What Gen Z trusts less? Gen AI search responses, which only about 37% trust.
Yeah, I can see that. I thinking of my kids, they definitely are distrustful of AI at this point.
All right, next question. By 2040, the U.S. auto market will A, require a subscription to turn left, B, shrink so much you'll lose it in the couch, C, only sell trucks the size of 2-bedroom apartments, or D, promise to achieve full self-driving next year. Again, by 2040, the U.S. auto market will do what?
It's A.
A, require a subscription to turn left.
Yes.
Actually, you know what? It probably will. But in this case, the answer is B. So according to Bain & Company, all signs point to a dramatic shrinking of the U.S. auto market by 2040. Blame it on demographics. We've got falling birth rates, sky-high car prices, fewer immigrants, and a growing array of alternatives, which could drive sales down more than 2 million units per year by 2040.
Wow.
Yeah. As CNBC puts it, the auto industry has long relied on an annual 1% growth rate that tracks to the increase in the overall population, typically grown by 1% a year. Well, 10 years ago, they sold 17.6 million cars, trucks, and SUVs in the U.S. The country might never come close to that number again.
Wow.
So for automotive brands, reliable sales growth may be forever in the rearview mirror. All right, final question. Which of the following summer 2026 movies has already shattered advanced ticket sales records? A, Obsession, B, Backrooms, C, Supergirl, D, Spider-Man Brand New Day, E, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, or F, Rick and Rick's Big Adventure? Which of these summer 2026 movies has already shattered advanced ticket sales records?
Wow, that's a good one. I'm going to guess that it's Spider-Man.
You are correct. So according to Deadline,
Nice.
Spider-Man Brand New Day has posted the best 5-day pre-sales in 5 years. In fact, the only movie it hasn't beat in that time period is Spider-Man No Way Home in 2021. So Spider-Man Brand New Day opens July 31st. All right, well, that's going to have to wrap it up for this episode of Rick and Rick Rule the World. Until next time, keep on kicking ass and keep on coming back to the one show where everybody's name is Rick.
And everybody rules the world.